What really happened in those 10 minutes that left millions of fans stunned, questioning everything they thought they knew, and asking one haunting question. Why did Taehyung's answer make Jungkook cry? Could a single sentence change everything between two people who have shared years of history, laughter, and unspoken understanding? Or was this moment something deeper? Something that had been building quietly behind the scenes, hidden beneath smiles, performances, and carefully controlled public appearances? And if so, what exactly did Taehyung say that struck Jungkook so deeply it brought him to tears? Before we go any further, stay with this story until the end because every detail matters. Every pause carries meaning, and every reaction tells a story that fans are still trying to piece together. If you feel the emotion behind this moment, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe because what you're about to read might completely change how you see this situation. It all unfolded just 10 minutes ago, or at least that's how it felt for those who witnessed the moment in real time. The atmosphere was already charged with subtle tension, the kind that doesn't explode immediately but lingers, quietly pressing on everyone present. There was no obvious conflict, no raised voices, no dramatic setup that would hint at what was about to happen. Everything seemed normal, almost too normal, as if the calm itself was hiding something waiting to surface. Jungkook, known for his composed yet emotionally transparent nature, appeared slightly different. Observers noticed it immediately, though they couldn't quite explain it. There was a hesitation in his movements, a fleeting uncertainty in his gaze, as if he was carrying a question he wasn't sure he wanted answered. And yet, he asked it anyway. What was that question? That remains one of the most intriguing parts of this entire moment. Some say it was simple, almost casual, something that wouldn't normally carry weight. Others believe it was deeply personal, a question that had been sitting in Jungkook's heart for a long time, waiting for the right moment to be spoken aloud. Either way, the room seemed to pause when the question left his lips. And then all eyes turned to Taehyung. Taehyung, who is often known for his unique way of expressing himself, didn't respond immediately. That silence, brief but heavy, was enough to make everything feel different. It wasn't awkward, but it wasn't comfortable either. It was the kind of silence that makes you realize something important is about to be said. When he finally spoke, his answer wasn't loud, wasn't dramatic, and yet it carried a weight that no one could ignore. There was something in his tone, something in the way he chose his words, that made it clear this wasn't just a casual response. Felt honest, almost painfully so. And that's when everything changed. Jungkook's reaction was immediate, but not in the way people expected. There was no anger, no visible frustration, no attempt to argue or respond quickly. Instead, there was a moment of stillness, as if he needed time to process what he had just heard. His expression shifted subtly at first, barely noticeable unless you were paying close attention. But then it happened. His eyes began to fill with tears. Not dramatic, uncontrollable crying, but the kind that feels even more real because it's quiet, restrained, and deeply emotional. It was the kind of reaction that doesn't come from surface-level feelings. It comes from something deeper, something personal, something that hits a place words rarely reach. Why did Taehyung's answer have that effect? That question is now echoing across the minds of everyone who witnessed the moment. Some believe Taehyung spoke a truth that Jungkook wasn't ready to hear. Others think it wasn't about readiness at all, but about the weight of honesty itself. Sometimes the truth doesn't hurt because it's harsh, but because it's real. There's also another possibility, one that adds an even more emotional layer to this situation. What if Taehyung's answer wasn't unexpected, but instead confirmed something Jungkook had been quietly fearing? What if those tears weren't just about surprise but about realization? As the moment unfolded, Taehyung didn't interrupt, didn't try to immediately comfort or explain further. He simply watched, his expression unreadable to most, yet filled with a quiet intensity that suggested he understood exactly what was happening. That silence between them, filled with unspoken thoughts, may have said more than any words could. The energy in the room shifted completely. What started as a seemingly ordinary interaction turned into something deeply emotional, something that felt almost private despite being witnessed by many. It was the kind of moment that makes people look away, not because they're uninterested, but because it feels too real, too personal to fully observe. And yet, no one could look away. Fans are now dissecting every second, every expression, every pause. Was there a hidden meaning in Taehyung's words? Did Jungkook interpret something beyond what was said? Or was this simply a rare glimpse into a genuine emotional exchange that doesn't happen often in the public eye? One thing is certain, this moment didn't feel staged, didn't feel exaggerated, and didn't feel like something meant for attention. It felt real. And that's exactly why it has left such a strong impact. As Jungkook tried to compose himself, there was a visible effort to regain control, to return to a sense of normalcy. But emotions like that don't disappear instantly. They linger, subtly affecting everything that follows. Even when the moment seemed to pass, its presence remained. Taehyung eventually spoke again, though this time his tone was softer, almost as if he was trying to ease the weight of what had just happened. But by then, the impact had already been made. Whatever needed to be felt had already been felt. So now the question remains, what does this mean for them? Is this moment a turning point, a sign of something changing beneath the surface? Or is it simply one of those rare, honest interactions that reveal just how deep their connection truly is? There are no clear answers yet. Only interpretations, emotions, and a lingering sense of curiosity that refuses to fade. But maybe that's what makes this moment so powerful. Not the certainty, but the mystery. Not the explanation, but the emotion. And as people continue to watch, rewatch, and analyze every second, one thing becomes increasingly clear: whatever happened in those 10 minutes was more than just a conversation. It was a moment that people won't forget anytime soon. So what do you think really happened? Was Taehyung's answer something that needed to be said? Or something that changed everything? And why do you think Jungkook reacted the way he did? Share your thoughts, because this story is far from over, and your perspective might reveal something others haven't seen yet. The silence that followed did not feel empty. It felt heavy, almost alive, as if the air itself was holding on to everything that had just been said, refusing to let it fade too quickly. Even as seconds passed, no one dared to break that fragile atmosphere too abruptly, because everyone understood, at least on some level, that they had just witnessed something rare. Jungkook lowered his gaze, not in avoidance but in reflection. It was the kind of reaction that suggested he wasn't trying to escape the moment, but rather absorb it completely. His hands, usually steady, betrayed a subtle tension, fingers tightening slightly as if grounding himself in reality. It was a small detail, but in moments like this, even the smallest gestures carried meaning. Taehyung, on the other hand, remained still. There was no sign of regret in his expression, but there was something else, something deeper, something quieter. It wasn't indifference, and it certainly wasn't coldness. If anything, it felt like understanding. The kind of understanding that doesn't need to be explained because it exists beyond words. Was this a conversation they had never had before? Or was it one they had been avoiding for a long time? That question began to take shape in the minds of those watching, because moments like this don't come out of nowhere. They build, slowly, quietly over time, through missed opportunities, unspoken thoughts, and feelings that remain just beneath the surface until something finally brings them out. And maybe this was that moment. Jungkook finally looked up again, his eyes still carrying that unmistakable emotion, though now it was more controlled, more contained. He didn't speak immediately, and when he did, his voice was softer than usual, almost careful. It wasn't just about choosing the right words. It felt like he was choosing how much of himself to reveal in that response. Whatever he said in return didn't carry the same shock as Taehyung's answer, but it carried something equally important: vulnerability. That exchange, brief yet deeply layered, seemed to shift something between them. Not in a dramatic, visible way, but in a subtle, almost invisible way that only those paying close attention could feel. It was as if a boundary had been crossed. Not a negative one, but one that opened the door to something more honest, more real. But honesty comes with a cost, and that cost is often emotion. As the moment continued to unfold, there was a noticeable change in the energy around them. Conversations resumed, movements continued, but nothing felt quite the same. It was like watching a scene where everything appears normal on the surface, yet you know something significant has just happened beneath it. Fans began to speculate almost immediately. Some believed this was a sign of unresolved feelings finally coming to light. Others thought it might be a misunderstanding, something that seemed heavier in the moment than it actually was. And then there were those who believed this was simply proof of how deep their connection truly runs, that only something meaningful could trigger such a genuine reaction. But the truth is, no one knows for sure, and that uncertainty only makes the moment more compelling. What makes this even more intriguing is the way Taehyung chose to respond afterward. Instead of trying to clarify or soften his earlier words, he remained consistent. Calm, composed, yet undeniably present. It wasn't avoidance and it wasn't defensiveness. It felt intentional, as if he believed that what he said didn't need to be taken back or explained further. That alone raises another question. Was his answer something he had been holding back for a long time? If so, then Jungkook's reaction becomes even more understandable. Because hearing something that has been unspoken for so long can feel overwhelming. Not because it's unexpected, but because it finally gives shape to something that was once just a feeling. There's also the possibility that this moment wasn't just about the words themselves, but about the timing. Sometimes the same sentence can mean completely different things depending on when it's said. And maybe, just maybe, this was the kind of truth that arrived at exactly the moment it was hardest to hear. As minutes passed, Jungkook seemed to regain more of his composure, but something had clearly shifted. It wasn't dramatic enough to define, but it was noticeable enough to feel. The way he carried himself, the way he responded to others, even the subtle pauses between his actions, all of it hinted at an internal process that was still unfolding. And Taehyung noticed. That much was clear. Not through obvious gestures or direct attention, but through the kind of quiet awareness that only exists between people who truly understand each other. He didn't interrupt, didn't push, didn't demand a response. Instead, he gave space. And sometimes that says more than any words ever could. This moment, as intense as it was, didn't end with a clear resolution. There was no dramatic conclusion, no final statement that wrapped everything up neatly. Instead, it lingered. It stayed. It continued to exist in the space between them, unresolved yet undeniably meaningful. And maybe that's what makes it so powerful. Because not every story has an immediate ending. Some moments are meant to stay open, to evolve, to reveal their meaning over time rather than all at once. As people continue to revisit this moment, analyzing every detail, one thing becomes increasingly clear. This wasn't just about a question and an answer. It was about something deeper, something that words alone can't fully capture. No one can say for certain. But one thing is undeniable. Those 10 minutes changed something. And whatever it is, the world is still trying to understand it. And just when it seemed like the moment had reached its peak, something even more subtle, but perhaps more revealing, began to unfold. Jungkook didn't leave. That alone caught the attention of those who were watching closely. In situations where emotions rise so suddenly, it would have been easy, even natural, to step away, to create distance, to regain composure in private. But he stayed. Not out of obligation, not out of pressure, but seemingly out of choice. Why? That question started to echo just as loudly as everything that had come before. Because staying means facing something. It means not running from the weight of what was said. Not hiding from the emotions that surfaced so unexpectedly. And for Jungkook, whose reaction had already revealed so much, that decision spoke volumes. He shifted slightly, taking a deeper breath, as if grounding himself again. His eyes, though no longer filled with fresh tears, still carried a softness that hadn't been there before. It wasn't weakness, it was openness. The kind that only appears when something real has been touched inside. Taehyung noticed that too. Of course he did. But instead of stepping in immediately, instead of trying to fix or explain, he remained where he was. Calm, steady, yet undeniably present. There was a quiet respect in that distance, as if he understood that this wasn't something that needed to be rushed. Because some emotions demand space, and some truths need time to settle. A few moments later, Jungkook spoke again. This time, his voice carried a different tone. Not shaken, not uncertain, but thoughtful. There was a weight behind his words, but also a sense of clarity, as if whatever he was feeling had begun to take shape. It wasn't about denying what had just happened. It was about acknowledging it. And that changed everything. Those who were paying attention could feel it instantly. The tension that once filled the space didn't disappear completely, but it transformed. It became something else, something quieter, something more grounded, like a storm that had passed, leaving behind a calm that still carried traces of what came before. But even in that calm, questions remained. What exactly had Taehyung said that struck so deeply?